So, let's talk cameras. So on the 3-camera lineup that gets used for all of my cinematography that gets shown on this channel, the first camera I have is my oldest video camera that I own, and that is a Lumix G series camera. Now, for as small as the camera is, it's actually got a pretty good lineup of things that it can do. It can shoot at 4K. It will run you about $600 brand new and about 450 used. This camera, as of right now, has been demoted to under-train shots, but the shots still come out pretty darn good. So next up on the list is actually a pretty important one. It's the one that ran me from 2021 to the end of 2022. That is the Sony A6000, a compact camera, but packs quite the punch. Released in February 2014, it's definitely got some age, almost 10 years old, coming in at around the same price for the Lumix that we just looked at. So let's take a look at some of the best shots it got over the years. And rounding out the camera fleet is Sony's infamous A7S III. With state-of-the-art autofocus and 240 frames a second at 1080p and 120 frames a second at 4K, they're pretty good specs, but they're pricey. The Sony A7S III is about $4,900 USD, brand new. And as usual, you can find it for cheap or used, but it's still a lot of money. And just a heads up that all of the equipment that is featured in this video will be put in the description with links and the names next to them if you want to go check them out. So starting off our lenses is the 70 to 350mm G lens that Sony offers for their A-mount cameras. This one I definitely use a fair amount and is great for those long distance telephoto shots. This lens in particular will run you about $1,000. The next lens is a fixed lens, one of two that I have. Sony's f1.8 50mm lens. Coming in at only about $250, which is cheap for lenses. It's a great lens and I recommend if you have an A-mount camera and you shoot at night, get this lens. It is that good. I'll go ahead and show off some of the shots that this thing's got. The next lens that I have is a f1.8 20mm fixed lens. This one I also use at night for those wider shots that I can't get everything into one frame with the 50mm. A neat little trick that it comes with is its click feature. Whenever you spin the dial to dictate what f-stop you want, which is the f1.8 to f22, you can see on the dial, you can designate whether it clicks or it functions smoothly, which I thought is kind of cool. Let's see the shots. The next lens up is the 16-50 kit lens that offers power zoom. This is a lens you'll only ever see me have on the camera whenever I'm dealing with the gimbal, because the 18-135 standard lens that I use for daytime shots is a tad bit heavy for the gimbal and it doesn't really like it. This lens in particular will run you about 130 bucks. And finally, my 18-135 A-mount lens. If it's in daytime, wasn't shot on telephoto nor gimbal, it was shot on this lens. Definitely very happy with it. This A-mount lens will run you about $600. Considering that the closest thing that a gimbal would fit to is the drone, I just put it in here anyway. This is the Crane M3, and this will run you about 200 bucks. It's a pretty simple gimbal, and it works for the camera that I use. Up next are some accessories for the drone. These are some landing gear that makes it sit higher off the ground to avoid grass trim. Next up is the controller. It'll run you about 300 bucks. Next up are the 4 batteries that I have for this drone. Each of these batteries are pretty pricey, about 200 bucks each. Next up are a precautionary set of rotor blades, just in case something happens to the ones that are on there now. Next up is actually a lens for the drone. This is the wide-angle lens that DJI offers, and it'll run you about 130 bucks. A strap for the controller, and of course, the drone. A DJI Mavic 3 Classic, which has lovingly been named Rooster. Now, for those of you who wonder what I edit on, it's probably going to surprise you. I edit on my phone. I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I use Kinemaster Mobile. And on that note, I think that wraps up just about everything that I wanted to go over today. So I will see you guys in the next one.